What's up, horror fans? Pete here from the Lasser Cast. We're me and my good friend Danny, Dr. Zayas G.O.D. Torkel, talk about horror movies and streaming shows. One of our consistent shows that we always touch upon is Yellowjackets. We've covered season 1, season 2, and season 3. Danny, last night, episode season 3, episode 8, had two of the most shocking moments of the show.
9.
Danny, it's time for me to retire, man. I'm pretty bad. Two of the most shocking moments of the show. Would you agree?
Yes. Yes, I would. However, I think last night we saw the difference between the end of episode 6 and episode 7, which I would say were good shocking, and then there was last night's episode, or the end of episode 7 and 8. I now you've threw me off. I don't even know what episode we're up to. Is this episode 9 last night, right?
This is 9, yeah.
Yeah. So we had some really good shocking moments to end the episode where the frog scientists show up as they're dancing and celebrating the death of Coach Ben. Then the next episode was shocking with Lottie's just outright murder of the guy and the chases that were going on. Then last week we get the reveal that Melissa is alive, and we have the great interactions between her and Shauna. And then this week I genuinely was the most excited I've been for an episode, and it shocked me the directions that they went. And it wasn't in a good way. I thought this was an almost cartoonishly over the top episode.
Okay, Danny, you got me so excited right now. You got me ready to bite off what's her face's arm flesh.
Look, we're just a couple of middle-aged guys at our mom's houses.
Yeah.
Talking about how, they'd really, I think they, in a way, I think they undid a lot of the good vibes that they had built up the last couple episodes. And I know that that's true because even my sister, who is the most staunch defender of Yellowjackets, she was having trouble defending last night's episode. She did say she's not going to stop watching it. Yes. And that if I ever did, she would record with you.
Oh, nice. Okay. I'd love to meet her. I like her insight.
I'm not going to stop watching this season. There's one more episode, but
right.
Yeah, you go for it, because I was so disappointed in this episode, man.
Okay. Well, that makes you really excited, Danny, because I made a thumbnail for this. I wrote 2 of the most shocking moments ever, but is it good that they're shocking? The reason why I say that is because you can have twists. You can have major character deaths on a TV show. But if it feels like it's so out of the blue, so out of left field to make it shocking, it makes it seem like it wouldn't naturally happen. I think that both things that we saw. Okay, so spoilers. 2 characters die, one in the wilderness, one in the present day, and one of the present day characters is one of the main characters. So it both times felt like it was out of left field. Don't you agree?
It felt like they had set up deliberate things throughout the season. Right. And then last night's episode felt like shock for the sake of shock value.
Thank you.
And I think from a storytelling perspective, and I've mentioned this a bunch of times, I think the show has now reached a very dark point. Mm-hmm. And I've written this in my notes 2 separate times. Who are we left to root for?
I can tell you who I will never fucking root for ever again. Shauna. Shauna is my God. Go ahead.
It's just I love horror movies. I love violence. I love gore. I love villains. But storytelling, when you're doing a story and you have villains that no one can identify with because they're all just evil. They're all just bad human beings. That's where I completely
Yeah.
check out. Like I like that, Darth Vader is the greatest villain maybe of all time in fiction because he does horrible things. Alderaan is blown up, and in the prequels, we get to watch him do, crazy, violent things. But there's always a level of understanding that you have with that character of what drove them to this. Uh, I made a point. I said to my sister last night that Shauna, it feels, is the opposite of how you do a
Oh,
a
now it's
good
freezing on my
villain.
end too. Why is there always
Uh,
technical difficulties? Saturday
now
morning
you're.
must just be cursed.
Am
Yeah.
I? Am
Can you
I
hear me,
there?
Danny?
Yeah.
Oh, you are now. Yeah. Oh,
Uh,
now you disappeared. Hold on a sec. One sec. All right. Let me make sure. Can you hear me,
yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Danny?
Um,
All right. Are you back? Can you hear me?
yes.
Oh my God, Danny! Like the whole thing you were saying about how like when you can't relate to the villains because they're too extreme or whatever, pick up from there.
Oh well, I just feel like
Or can you
the
not hear me?
no, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Okay. Okay.
The I
Yeah.
just feel like a good villain is they're evil, and then over time you slowly begin to be able to identify a little bit more with their character, whether for good or for bad.
Sure.
And if you can't do
Right.
that, then they become just a cartoonish villain.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes
Yeah.
that works. The Joker is a cartoon villain, but he works in that regard. Like
Right.
you're never supposed Batman is never supposed to identify with the Joker.
Right.
But Shauna is a character who's born out of like horrible sympathetic things. The plane crashes, her baby dies, her best friend dies. Uh there's all these terrible things that happen that lead you to sympathize with her seasons 1, maybe even into season 2 as she's unraveling.
Right.
But now there's none of that left. And the adults know it, and the wilderness gang knows it. Like the smirks on her face when she shoots at Melissa and makes her piss herself.
Right.
Uh, the fact that like Melissa says to her, like, can't you just be a normal person? And she's like, you're nothing to me. It's like
Yeah.
it's almost clownish, over the top
Right.
villainy.
Right.
And and I and now the show has killed off every character who has any shred of humanity.
Oh no, there's two left. I'm like Yoda in Empire Strikes Back. There is another. Right. There's two.
Are
There's
you going to say Jeff and Callie?
Jeff and Callie.
So, I, but like to me, at best, they are secondary characters. The show is called Yellowjackets.
That's true.
So yes, like the husband, and Jeff's been there really since the very beginning because he was in high school with them.
Right.
Uh, but like the son and daughter of the Yellowjackets being the only relatable characters is weird. And and again, I come back to this. Like, why do they keep having Sophie Thatcher act her fucking ass off and be such a great character if there's nothing to play off of that in the adult? timeline. Like,
Yeah. Well, see, like, so this is something that you and I talk about pretty much like every episode this season, right? Where like um the characters that like the behind the scenes stuff, we always talk about how Juliette Lewis is no longer on the show. Juliette Lewis left the show, and so the story got affected by that, right? Well, one other thing that I don't think we mentioned as much is that Van was supposed to die in the wilderness, and she was supposed to die like real early on, like in the beginning of first season. And so for them to like make Van still be alive, then Van is still alive in the present day. Like this whole season, the majority of it was just to build up Ty and Van's relationship to show how close they were, how much Ty would do to save her. But then it's like, here comes the spoilers, guys. Van dies in this episode, you know, and so it kind of feels like this whole season they really just wanted to make you care about Van, care about Ty, loving Van, and then it's like that's so that we could kill her, you know, randomly. And it was so like out of the blue and sudden that I was like, why? Why did Melissa kill her? You know what I'm saying? Like, even just to protect herself, she didn't have to kill Van, right? Like, what do you think her motivation is for killing Van?
I, I don't know, because Van had cut her loose, and
Right.
Van basically said, I want to kill you, but I can't.
Right.
And so I thought maybe this is going to lead into a thing where Melissa helps Van helps Melissa escape. Maybe Melissa takes off, and that creates a final divide between Ty and Van. But like now, like just thinking ahead to season 4, what is Hilary Swank's role in this show going to be? She murders Van, so Ty is going to want to murder her. Shauna already wants to murder her because Shauna, that's her only characteristic, is I want to murder people.
Right.
And Misty is just, you know, my sister even described it like she's just a cockroach. She goes wherever, like, she has no allegiance to anybody. She does whatever, she just follows along.
Yeah.
And so Melissa has a family. Are Shauna and Ty gonna murder her wife and kids? Are they gonna just give chase? I loved the episode where we meet Hilary Swank, last week's episode. I love that episode.
Right.
I love the interactions. I love how, you know, that we said the name of that episode was, you know, like a normal boring life.
Right.
And I just felt like you went from, we're introducing a character who has created, albeit on a bed of lies, a normal boring life, and then snap your fingers, she's being like handcuffed and she's dragging herself around the house, she's murdering people now, she's like, this is all in the morning that like her wife left with her kids. So at some point the wife and kids are going to come home and they're going to find Shauna and Van, the two most dangerous characters, Shauna and Ty rather, the two
Right.
most dangerous characters in their home.
Right.
I just don't understand the logic of, because I thought after last week Melissa was going to fill that void of, oh, here's the character we can root for. Yes, she sent the tape, but there was a note, and she sent the tape as a form of closure, and nothing else that we had accused her of was actually her. And it's really just Shauna and Ty and Misty being roped in by the craziness, and Melissa's normal. But now it's not.
Yeah.
And so you said we can root for Callie. My sister's been saying this for weeks now. She
Yeah.
thinks Callie killed Lottie.
Oh, yeah. You know, I think your sister might be onto something there, which sucks. Not
Because
that your
that
sister sucks.
would
Her
account
theory
for the
does.
DNA. That would account for Shauna's DNA.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But see, like, that's what sucks. And here, I want to say something too. Like, I really love the scene where Jeff and Callie are like smoking pot together and they're bonding. But I was like, is this kind of go some weird kind of incesty way? Because he's sitting there next to her on the bed and he's like, I'm so lonely with your mother, being married to your mother. And I was like, oh God, they're not going to kiss or something, right? But I think that's just my warped mind. And so, but like, if she ends up being the one that killed Lottie, I'm actually going to be really disappointed, because I think maybe the best part of this season so far is just the idea of them thinking that Shauna is horrible and that they're better off without her. That's my favorite part of this season so far. And if it makes it that she's a killer, then it's going to be like, are you fucking kidding me? But Danny, I want to go back to one other thing, because you brought up some really interesting subject matter there. I want to get your theory on this. I almost feel like when they have a death and it seems like it's based on behind the scenes stuff on the show, like Juliette Lewis's death, or maybe like Van surviving and now Van dying now, I feel like that doesn't have the emotional impact or feel as strong or feel like it makes sense, as opposed to when other characters die, like Coach Ben did this season, like Jackie died in the first season, right? Like when Javi died too. Each time those happened, it seemed like they had planned that. It seemed like that was meant to happen and have emotional depth. The stuff with Van, and then the stuff with fucking Joel McHale, it's kind of like, why are you setting this up to happen this way? How does this affect the greater story? Like, why did we do this with them?
Yeah, and this whole thing with Hannah. So Hannah basically, she was basically lying to Melissa in the wilderness, saying that she lives with her daughter.
Right. So watching Nickelodeon. Yeah.
So are we now just to believe that while she's a scientist studying frog fucking, that she happens to be this extremely manipulative, borderline sociopathic murderer who, in the name of science, decides that she wants to become a cannibal girl in the wilderness? Like, what the fuck? Like, and you're the one who said, and I think you mentioned this like way back when we first started covering the show, that the creators of this show had a 5-year plan.
Right.
And I said this to my sister last night. I am fully ready to call total bullshit on that.
Yeah.
Because our big complaint about this season, up until probably episode 6 and 7, was that it was slow. Nothing much was happening. But underneath that, they were deconstructing all the supernatural stuff. Right. Every episode, they would say, oh no, it's not the wilderness. There's no force driving them. It's just this. It's a guy who had a heart attack. It's a woman who left a cell phone. Those aren't the voices of the gods in the woods. It's frogs fucking.
Right.
And then so they were deconstructing everything.
I mean, even in this episode, they have Misty reveal that she's the one that locked Shauna in the freezer too.
Yeah, she pushes the freezer door shut. We figure out we learn that Travis is the one that built the pit with the.
Okay, so I wanted some clarification on that too, Danny. Did essentially he make that so that he could kill Lottie? Was that what he was doing? Basically,
yeah.
It's like, I'm gonna
basically,
kill Lottie
I think that was the whole plan. He was going to kill Lottie, and then Lottie steps on it, and nothing happens. So again, she believes the wilderness.
Yeah.
Saves her.
Yeah. That was a wacky scene unto itself too, right? Because he confronts her and he says he doesn't believe in this stuff. This stuff is bullshit. And then all of a sudden there's this like kind of weird glow, right? Like, you're talking about all this deconstruction stuff, but there's stuff that happens in the nature in the show that seems supernatural, or at least it seems like, hey, nature's trying to tell us something. There's that glow when she doesn't fall in the pit. Then when Nat finds out that they're not leaving, it seems like it's like snowing or something too, right?
Well,
Like,
yeah,
what the,
winter is coming. Not to make a Game of Thrones reference, but yeah, like it also that also I thought that whole scene at the beginning happened way too easily. It's like you have a combined what 15 characters maybe, and 3 of them stand up and go, "We're not leaving." And the rest of them are like, "Okay." And
yeah,
like Nat goes over and is like, "Shauna, what are you doing?" And Shauna takes the gun, like literally just doesn't punch her in the face. She just takes the gun and is like, "I have the gun now. We're not leaving. Take those 2 and put them back in the pen." And the
yeah,
girls are like, "Oh, I guess we have to." And it's
right,
like, wait, what?
right,
Like,
right.
and it feels like everyone just capitulated way too quickly. Like there's got to be maybe a couple bullets in the gun total.
Right. That's a good point. That's a very good point.
So like
Yeah.
I get like nobody wants to get shot, but like
Right.
you could bum rush Shauna and it's still a single shot rifle.
Right.
Like so I don't nothing in this episode made sense to me. They've killed off all the characters that you have any genuine emotional tie to.
Yeah.
Um, Travis in the wilderness, you have Travis, Van,
Nat.
Melissa, and Nat, who are like the 4, and Aquila, who are like the 4 characters or 5 characters that like you are rooting for to get home.
Right.
3 of them are already dead. Um,
Right. Right. In the present. Yeah.
we rooted for the first part of the season. We rooted for Coach Ben. He's dead. Um, Aquila, I can't imagine she's making it back to, they would have brought her up. It would be weird if they just keep debuting new Yellowjackets at this point.
Right.
Like they go to extreme circumstances with Melissa where
Right.
we went to her funeral, she faked her death.
Fake your suicide. Yeah. Yeah.
So like Akila's not going to make it back. So any
Right.
hope we have in her, I I really just like this is why I call bullshit on the 5-year plan.
Okay. Go ahead.
Because from a storytelling standpoint, you don't establish 2 time periods where in one time period there is a villain and there is a leader of the good guys,
Right.
only to not have any of that story pay off in the future.
Right.
So, because like every bit of great acting Sophie Thatcher does, there's a hollowness to it.
Right. Right.
Because you know that adult Nat isn't coming back to go after Shauna and take her down.
Right.
And I cannot imagine, I refuse to believe that Nat dying the way she died was written in from the beginning.
Yeah.
I can't believe that. And I almost just feel like if Juliette Lewis was like, you know what, this show's too fucking dark for me. I only want to do 2 seasons. Like there are other 50-year-old brunette women who are good at acting who could have just stepped in and
Yes.
taken over. Like I think I made the joke to you the other night. They're like I remember Terrence Howard as War Machine.
Right. Right. Remember
Like
you did. Yeah. We talked about this, in our last recording, which was only like 2 days ago, too. But like what I was going to say was going along with what you said, Danny, they have this real bad habit of making it seem like more people survived than you initially thought and then killing them off in such a random, weird way. Right. Because Lottie being alive in the present day, like the way the show is set up in the first 5 episodes, at least, or more, maybe in the whole first season. You're like, oh, here are the people that survived this whole thing. Nat, Shauna, Ty, and Misty. That's it. Those are the Yellowjackets. They even have like a fucking high school reunion, and it's just them. There's no Melissa, there's no Van, there's nobody else, right? There's no Lottie, right? And then all of a sudden, Lottie's still alive. Melissa's still alive.
Man.
And so then when they kill off Lottie, it's such a weird random thing too, right?
Yeah, like just the
ahead.
random end of an episode. You just see a body on the floor and you're like, oh, is that one of the main characters that I've been following?
Right. Because like Lottie in the present day, there's varying degrees in how important characters are in the present and the past. In the past, Lottie is extremely, extremely important and interesting. Yeah. In the present day, she's almost like a goof. Like one of the things that Sherry never liked, and I kind of don't like either, is that it's like she has this cult, but it's this weird cult that's sort of like lame and silly. Like that's another thing too, is I don't like when the show kind of veers into humor for humor's sake versus like things just naturally being funny. Like a lot of times the funniest things on the show are when someone does something extreme and then another character kind of reacts like, this is normal to you? Like that's funny. Yeah. But when they do shit where like people are in a cult and they're just sort of mindless, or I'm trying to think what else they've done recently where it's like it's not really funny. All the stuff with fucking Elijah Wood. I'm like, is any of this interesting? Like, who cares? Go ahead.
That terrible, the worst episode, or not the worst episode, but the worst part of any episode of this season was the for comedy bit of Walter and Shauna dressed as cable guys in Lottie's. I couldn't believe that I was watching that scene. Like that was brutally bad. But like to your point, it with it.
Yeah.
It is another, piece of fiction that has a clear divide between what happened 30 years ago or 25 years ago and what's happening now.
Right.
And what makes the story of it so effective is every one of the losers, with the exception of Stan, is there as an adult. Mm-hmm. And Stan's death, his suicide, plays a pivotal role in the reunion of the adult losers.
Yeah.
And so you see a through line between all of those characters and the way they behaved and what careers that they're in now and their relationships as adults. And when we're watching Yellowjackets, and so much of the wilderness part of the show is based on Nat, Lottie, Travis, and now they're dead. And
okay.
Yeah, and there's no way for us to so it's like, okay, wow, Nat is so broken down as a character. Like I told my sister, I said, I almost want to go back and watch season 1 and see how Nat interacts with Shauna, because how could Nat have interacted with Shauna in any type of positive way after what we're watching them go through in the wilderness?
That is a really, really good point.
It almost like what happened in this episode and what's probably going to happen in the season finale and next year.
Yeah.
It almost completely I remember Juliette Lewis being very distant. She was obviously an addict. But the fact that she even tolerated being in the same room with Shauna as an adult.
Right.
Is kind of weird when she's Shauna in a way is like a cult leader also. And I'm glad you brought up Lottie's cult, because you have season 1, you had they're being blackmailed.
Right.
Somebody knows about the Yellowjackets. Ooh, this could be a good plot thread. It wasn't. Season 2, you had, oh my God, Lottie's alive and she has a cult. That makes perfect fucking sense. This is going to be a great plot point. It fucking wasn't.
Right.
And so now the big thing of season 3 was, is there another Yellow Jacket alive? It turns out to be Melissa. Is she behind everything that we've been seeing? This is going to be a great plot point. And within one episode, I feel like they shit all over that too.
Well, Danny, I mean, a part of that they really shit on too is that you have this whole thing with Van's dying of cancer. Van's dying of cancer. Oh, Ty is going to be extreme and she's going to kill people so that Van can continue living. Let's keep doing these sacrifices. Okay, so that's where the show's going to go. That's where the story's going to go. Nope, let's stab Van in the heart. Right? What does that have to do with cancer or anything like that? It's just literally just to be set up so that the audience can go, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. But it's like, as a theme, as a story, like, what purpose does that serve? It just basically makes Ty vengeful. Ty's character, her arc is so weird, right? If you think about it. Because, I mean, every time we review this show, we always talk about, it's like, she started out, she was married. She was like trying to get into politics, or she already was in politics. She was trying to,
she was an elected official.
Right. She had a son that she had adopted. You know, all the stuff's going on. And then this whole season is just her and Van like going on dates, saying how much they love each other. Oh, we're going to kill people to keep Van alive. And now Van just randomly is killed. Like, why did Melissa kill her? I don't get it. Like, one other thing I want to say about that too is I knew someone was going to die in that scene because they started playing exit music from a film by Radiohead, right? And I love that fucking song, but it's used to death in movies and stuff. It's used in Black Mirror. It's used in Westworld. I mean, it's an amazing fucking song. But like once they started playing that music, I'm like, Radiohead, someone's going to die. But I thought it was Melissa, though. And I was like, honestly, though, Danny, if Van had killed Melissa, that actually would have bothered me even more. Because they had that one line where she's like, you wouldn't do this. You want to do this, but you're not going to because you're a good person. And if she had killed Melissa, it would have been like, oh, she's just like as bad as these other fucking characters I don't like,
I thought I thought that what made sense that like I think one of the things that they were doing is like Ty is back, like she's put her other away.
Yeah.
So I thought like, okay, so Van is going to threaten to kill Melissa as like a sacrifice.
Yeah.
And then she's going to realize she's actually a good person and she's not going to do it. And right. Melissa's going to escape and that's going to like break Ty, and Ty's going to like, I thought this might even lead to Ty killing Van.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Where like Ty gets so, her other and her current self are, so. Can your mom bring me some food too? I'm hungry. What's going on?
She just made me some. I mean, like I was talking about cannibalism.
Oh man.
Sorry. Yeah. No, you were making this really interesting point. Though. I want to know.
No, it just
why was Ty going to kill Van?
I don't know. I just thought like maybe because Ty's fucking crazy. That's why.
Yes, there is that.
And like maybe Ty would feel like in a moment of like betrayal that she like let Melissa go. That like maybe she like accidentally, kills her. But like we spent an entire season dealing with Van's cancer. I almost said Can's Vancer. Van's cancer.
Like a Star Wars character. Yeah.
I know. Yes. I sell death sticks.
There you go. Nice.
We spent the whole season dealing with Van's cancer, only for her to be stabbed to death.
Right.
That feels weird. That is an out of left field. Like, this is a woman who was recommended to stay in hospice care last week. And now she's being stabbed in the heart by a character who debuted last week.
Right,
it's
right.
Or not a character, but an actress in the adult timeline.
Yeah.
It just, I keep coming back to who the fuck am I meant to root for in this show anymore? Because You look at the characters, look at the wilderness, look at the division of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that wanted to stay are Shauna, Ty, and Lottie, right? Lottie makes it back, is wealthy, and starts a cult. Shauna makes it back, is a middle class, housewife with a family who has faced no consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And Ty is a successful, married, with family politician.
Right.
Then you look at the characters who wanted to go home. Van completely becomes dissociative to the rest of the group. She runs a video store.
Right.
They have to go and find her. Travis and Nat are broken people who are addicts.
Right.
And they're both fucking dead.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so am I meant to believe that the wilderness is rooting for evil and that, eventually all these characters are just going to be dead? Because let's put it this way. And this is the best way I can put it. And I don't know if you want to end here,
Uh-oh.
but if the show has a 5-year plan,
right,
there are 21 episodes left of this show.
mm-hmm.
That is approximately 21 hours of this show left. One more episode of this season, and then 2 more 10-episode seasons. What are we doing for 21 more hours?
Danny,
are we going to watch them pick queens, murder more girls, eat more of their Yellowjacket friends in another cold winter? We've already seen that. Are we going to watch Shauna get somehow more evil? Okay, why don't we paint her face like the Joker at this point?
Right.
In the adult timeline, what are we doing? Are we murdering Melissa's family and then hunting her down?
Right.
Are Jeff and Callie going to become our big, heroes? What's the deal? There's obviously some kind of weird side thing going on with Walter, the way that Christina Ricci ran out on him.
Yes.
But do I even care at this point? Are we going to find out that Lottie just fell down a bunch of stairs? Are we ever going to find out what happened to the cabin?
Oh, with the fire. Yeah.
So and this is the thing that really pissed me off about this episode.
Go ahead.
I hate when shows fucking do this.
Okay.
The last scene of the episode is Van on the plane, and she's talking to young Van, and she's like, "That's it? I fucking die?" Which I thought was
very
funny.
meta.
That's good.
Yeah.
And she's like, I thought I would see it through to the end. How does this even end? And it almost felt like young Van turns to the camera and winks and goes, "You'll see. Stay tuned till next week."
Hashtag Yellowjackets 96. Yeah, no, I know. No,
and this is what I tell my sister. This is why in the last couple of years, I've really, in a way, stopped watching episodic television.
Mm-hmm.
And because maybe it's a form of ADHD where I need my gratification. I'm okay with ambiguous. I'm okay with ambiguity. I'm okay with open-ended questions.
Right.
But if it's 100-minute long movie or a 2-hour movie,
mm-hmm.
and the movie's over,
mm-hmm.
and you and I want to talk about a movie, and we're both like, "Man, that ending was weird. What did you think of that ending?" "Oh, yeah, well, I thought this." "Oh, really? I thought it was this." "Oh, that's interesting." That's it. The movie's over.
Right.
We move on with our lives. We watch something else.
Right.
This show wants you to commit 50 hours of your life to these characters.
Right.
And if I'm making that type of investment, I want fucking answers to my questions.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want ambiguity if I'm committing 50 hours to something. And that's why I will forever hate Lost, because I felt Lost jerked my chain for
Ooh.
7 seasons. And I have
Yeah.
to listen. I have to listen to people who are wrong, like my wife, who I love,
Yeah.
who says, well, it was about the characters. No, it fucking wasn't. It was about the plot. It was about
Right.
the plot. It was about all the details. That was what people left talking about each week, and they never fucking explained anything. And
So,
I
yeah.
truly believe that these creators of Yellowjackets have lost the plot. I don't think they have a plan. I think they're going to scramble to a conclusion, but I cannot imagine that they want us to spend 20 more hours
Right.
with this crew of vile, evil people.
Okay. So every single week you bring up Lost, right? And it makes sense because the DNA of this show and the DNA of Lost, there's a bunch of matching chromosomes, right? Um, what's interesting though is that there are times on Lost when characters that you loved would do like really selfish or despicable things. And that's because a major part of Lost was look what these people were like back home. Now they can act differently on the island. And they did some horrible things when they were still back home before they got on the plane, right? Yellowjackets has that a little bit, like especially with Shauna, but a lot of it is like here they are in the present day, and this is what you see, and then this is what they were like back then. And there are times when you get really mad, like you get really mad at Sawyer for doing something really selfish or something that would like maybe even kill another character, right? Sawyer would do shit like that. Saeed would do stuff like that on Lost. On this show, you have stuff where the characters just do like horrible, despicable things, and you're like why? I don't care. I don't want to see this. This makes me not like the show. And it's not in any kind of gratifying way. Like Shauna saying to Melissa in the past when she's holding the gun at her, you were nothing before you were with me, or something like that. She's like, you were nobody until you were with me. So
Yeah.
like fucking dramatic and stupid. I like the fact that the girl peed her pants, like because that adds this kind of realism to it. And then there's this like humility, and Van comes over and like helps her, and that shows how Van is so like likable and kind. But what happened prior to that is so over the top and so ridiculous, and makes Shauna so unlikable. You know, I know just you kind of saying like this could be our last point, but one other thing I think we really need to talk about though is that there's a whole segment of this episode where Misty makes the connection between the old transponder and the stuff that's on the plane, right? Or the stuff that they have at Joel McHale's camp, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So, like, do you think that that's going to lead to their actual rescue?
That also, that whole thing, like even Nat's reaction, like Sophie Thatcher being like, you have that? It's like it that was something that happened in like the first episode of season 1.
Right.
Like, it's been like 3.5 years since I saw that fucking thing. Like, you know, we joked around how at the beginning of this season we had to watch videos to remind us how season 2 ended. Like,
Right.
you want me to remember the first episode of season 1? But come
Right.
on, guys.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
No.
and if it really turns out that Misty single-handedly is responsible for them staying there for 2 years because she
Yeah.
took the black box out of the plane and hid it in a bush for 2 years. I mean, it would make sense given her character,
Right.
but man, that would be underwhelming.
Yeah, well, I think that's one of the main problems of this show, Danny, is that a lot of like the explanations for things, a lot of the resolutions for things that you spend multiple episodes focusing on, ends up being lame.
Making coffee.
Okay, he's making coffee. I will keep going with what I was saying though, but like um the way things get resolved. Like you and I got so excited about Joel McHale and these other two actors being on the show, adding this new dynamic. Well, Joel McHale gets stabbed in the eye this episode. You know, it seems so out of left field and so random. Like, and you made this great point where you're like, oh, okay, so Hannah is just going to become this, you know, crazy cannibal woman now, like just, you know, over the course of one episode. Um, you could play with that and play it up, but this show has this bad reputation of setting things up and then just like cutting it off abruptly. I think for shock value, you know.
That whole scene, that scene reeks of a scene where the writers are writing it and they're going, "Oh my god, the audience is gonna scream when this happens," and my reaction was, "What?
Right.
What the fuck?"
Right.
And it wasn't like, "Oh my god, what a shocking twist!" It was, that makes no fucking sense.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you. Yes, that's the problem. See, I think what happens is when they write stuff in the wilderness, they're like, okay, well, this is what's in the present. We can't contradict it, so we have to like have a resolution. And they always think they're like their go-to is, oh, the resolution's gonna be something shocking. Someone's gonna die in a shocking way. And it's like, it's not satisfying if someone dies in a shocking way every time someone fucking dies. You know what I'm saying?
I genuinely felt like there was a lot more they could have done with those two characters.
Exactly.
I thought like they stretched out the death of Coach Ben for a long time.
Like 3 episodes. Like,
and then they gave him this like horribly sad like death with some amazing acting from both him and Sophie Thatcher, Stephen Kruger, the actor, and Sophie Thatcher, like amazing acting, which led to this amazing moment on the show of like, Shauna demanding that she cut him up, and that's what brings the frog fuckers to them. And
wait, they don't fuck the frogs. The frogs fuck each
oh,
other.
the frog, the fuck frog scientists, whatever they are. It just felt like they had Joel McHale was like genuinely like a cool character,
right?
And like I thought you could keep them alive until the beginning of next season. He's the guide, so you could have had him like him and Nat be like, she'd be like, "You can get us out of here, right? Yeah, if you let me go." And then like she builds like a team of Yellowjackets that are gonna free. Like I know that's what they tried to do this week.
Exactly.
But then to like, and like Hannah just comes across. Hannah went from being like this like doe-eyed brunette who doesn't really know what's happening and is scared and making tapes to her daughter and in the wilderness because she thinks she's going to die. And then literally an episode later, she's stabbing a man in the face and pledging her allegiance to Shauna because she wants to be a part of this. Like, there's out of left field things that happen.
Yeah.
And then there's that.
Yeah. That's like someone in the parking lot in Citi Field, like throwing the ball in, right? Isn't that what out of left field is? That metaphor? It's like, where the fuck did that come from? Yeah. No, I know. It's such a shocking episode, and it makes you kind of lack the. You just like the writers feel less credible after stuff like this. You're kind of like, what the fuck are they doing? I mean, that's what you've been saying this whole recording too, but. My last thing, because I know we want to do one more recording too. My last thing I was going to ask you is, what do you think Misty found on Walter's phone that made her have that reaction?
So my gut reaction was she found something, whether a photograph or something else, that connected Walter to Lottie's death. But then my sister is on this, it's Callie, and like that's why Shauna's DNA is there, because it's her daughter. So maybe she found something in that regard. I don't know. And I kind of don't care. Like Walter is a nothing character to me.
Yep, like he really is.
Walter could have been.
It's so annoying. He
could have been.
Yeah.
When they introduced him, they could have had, like, I actually would not have minded if him and Misty became like a Scooby Gang out there to solve the mystery of the Yellowjackets, and Misty doesn't get involved with any of the other Yellowjackets other than to like further her plot of like trying to find out who killed Travis and who killed or what killed Travis and what killed Lottie and all these things. And if they were like a fun-loving Scooby Gang, I'd be okay with it. But like he just kind of shows up randomly, like literally in a helicopter.
Right, in a helicopter, yeah.
Like he's literally like Elijah Wood ex machina at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I feel like the first 5 episodes of this season, it was me going, yeah, it's not that great, but come on, man, it's gonna get better, and there's a lot of good stuff underneath. And you were like, yeah, but it's kind of getting boring, and I maybe we'll stop watching this. Then it got really good for 2 episodes, and now I feel like with 1 episode to go in the season, I'm like, they really burnt me on this episode.
Yeah, Danny. I had no idea how this conversation was going to go today, but then once you started ragging on it, I'm like, yeah, let's fucking double team this right now. I got like real excited because I was shocked, and then I ended up watching White Lotus with my wife last night, which is really fucking good. Did you and your wife watch White Lotus or no?
I watched the first 2 seasons.
Okay. So you haven't watched the most recent one?
No. I watched the first. This is season 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so I haven't watched it yet. Does it release 1 episode a week?
It does, but it's almost over. I think like the finale is this week.
Okay, so like here's this. I mentioned it earlier about like I've basically given up on episodic shows.
Yeah.
About a month ago, I binged 30 episodes of Twin Peaks.
Yeah, man.
Given my mindset today, had I watched Twin Peaks, especially the second half of season 2, when it was on, if I had to wait 6.5 days between episodes, I probably would have stopped watching it. I probably would have hated it.
Right.
But because it's 35 years old, and because I was sitting in bed watching Paramount Plus, pressing skip next episode, watching 2 to 3 episodes a day, I absolutely loved it. And it became one of my favorite fucking pieces of experiences. Fiction that I've ever watched. And I'm going to start watching The Return very soon.
Yes, give me. I don't know why I was like making it like I was squeezing an ass or something over here, but yes, bring that. Yes.
So it's like when like family and friends tell me, "Oh my God, dude, you have to watch Severance." I'm like, yeah, well, maybe when Severance ends, maybe when like the show is completely done, I'll watch Severance.
Yes.
I like my friend Jared, who does the Puppet Master Castle Freaks podcast, and he's my trivia partner. He raves about Succession.
Oh.
And I know you love it too. And it's like Succession is over. It's done. There's no more new episodes. So like that's a show I feel comfortable going and watching because I can just binge through it.
I swear to God, I think Danny is trying to give me a boner or something over here because he's like, Twin Peaks, Succession, Severance. I'm like, yeah, keep going, Danny. Yeah. Talk about Breaking Bad next. Yeah. Okay. But
it's like, I am perfectly fine getting into these shows once they're done. Yeah. My mindset as a almost 43-year-old adult is I'm good to binge these shows. Yeah. I don't want to waste a week of my life thinking about this hour of TV prepping for next week. And this show is really grinding my gears at this point. To quote Peter Griffin, it's really grinding my gears. And
it really is. Yeah, go ahead.
And like, look, I don't want to make any like declarations of like I'm done watching this, but like, because I enjoy talking about it with you, and I enjoy talking about it with my sister.
Right.
But like, and this is the last time I'll bring Lost up. at the end of
No,
Lost
it's
season
not.
2, at the at the end of Lost season 2, I loved Lost season 1 so much. It was one of the greatest seasons of television. I think everyone would agree with that. One of the greatest seasons of television ever.
Yes.
Lost season 2, and I get it. There was a writer strike. I get it. It was so bad that when season 2 ended, I said, okay, I'm going to watch the season premiere of season 3. If that episode does not hook me immediately, I'm cutting bait. And I did. I walked away. I said, I'm done. And the only thing that got me back into Lost was I started dating Athena. She loved it. The early seasons were on DVD already. So I was able to binge through season 3, binge through season 4, binge through season 5. And then I think we watched season 6 and 7 together while they were on the air. But I kind of feel like I'm at that level. Like next week's the season finale. Then we're going to probably wait 12 to 15 months for the premiere of season 4. And we're going to watch a YouTube video to remind us how disappointed we were of this season. And then we'll watch the season premiere of season 4 and we'll be like, okay. All right, that was it. And again, do we want to commit 20 more hours to this show? We're almost at an hour, so you can cut me off at any time. Because I'm rambling at this point.
No, it's okay. It's been fun rambling. Like, no, because here's the thing. We've covered things like Monarch. We've covered things like the Referral or whatever the fuck that William Gibson show was. Yeah, Peripheral. You know, we've covered things like that, and we've gotten through it all. And sometimes it'll be a slog, and it'll be pretty tough to talk about. But as rough as Yellowjackets is, it's still like it's a show that we're pretty invested in. You know, so I'm okay going into season 4, giving it a shot just to see where it's going to go. I think they might do some kind of interesting thing where they show them return home, maybe in the middle or beginning of next season, and then we have them out of the wilderness and back home and young at one point. That might be a different direction it goes in. But you're right, Danny, though. We're right into the hour point, too, so we should just wrap this up. Guys, obviously, Danny and I had a pretty strong reaction to the shocking twist in this episode. We love when y'all comment. So, tell us what you thought of the deaths in this episode and where the show's going. But speaking of our show, where's it going, Danny? Can you tell us what's on the Lastercast right now?
Well, aside from our Yellowjackets coverage, I have a couple short reviews on the channel. New Shudder horror movie, the Bloody Axe Wound, kind of a meta slasher. It's fun. Short review of that. And I reviewed The Woman in the Yard on which is in theaters now. Your mother took your daughter to see that, correct? Uh-oh, did Pete freeze here at the end? Right at the end.
No, you froze.
Oh.
You froze.
Okay. All right, well, Bloody Axe Wound, Woman in the Yard. I have short reviews of those on the channel. And we're about to go and review, we're going to start a new little thing called Beyond Horror, where we review other types of genre movies that may have a little bit of horror connection, maybe not. And we're going to watch an Indian movie, talk about an Indian movie on Netflix called Devara, starring NTR Jr., the man of the masses.
Yes. Very well put. I'm actually super excited about talking about that with you, Danny. Right under the hour mark. Very nice and tight. Good job. So we will see you guys next time for the finale of Yellowjackets.